Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to come join us. My name is Corey Albrecht. I serve as the president here at our Augustana Turning Point USA chapter. Turning Point USA is centered around two principles, and those are freedom and personal responsibility. And tonight's subject involves both of these. Sex trafficking steals the freedom of millions globally, and it won't stop without us taking the responsibility to step up and fight it. We want to extend our thanks to the National Turning Point organization as well as the Leadership Institute for making this event possible. And tonight we have the privilege of hosting Jaco Booyens on campus. Jaco is a leading voice in combating sex trafficking, filmmaker, and victim advocate. Jaco is a South African immigrant who was thrown into the midst of the sex trafficking industry after his sister was trafficked. He then founded SHAREtogether, which is a nonprofit organization fighting against the global crisis of sex trafficking. He is the president and CEO of the film company After Eden Pictures, and directed and produced the feature film 8 Days to raise awareness about the reality of sex trafficking in the United States. Please give a warm welcome to Jaco Booyens.
Thank you. I don't know if this is on or not, but if it's not, we'll just be allowed. It is on?
Yes.
Good. Thanks for being here. Thank you to Turning Point, the local chapter leaders for making this happen, and for bringing real conversation to college campus. I was at UGA last night, University of Georgia, and we kind of went until midnight because we had some work to do. I like it when I get out and bring awareness to the topic because we tackle all areas of this issue. So 2 Fridays ago, give you an example, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm in a meth lab. Pulling a girl out of the meth lab with a needle in her arm as she's shooting heroin. Sex trafficked victim trying to overdose to commit suicide. 150 paces from the front door of the Colorado State Capitol. Because it's in every zip code. It is in every zip code. It's on your campus. It's on the street where you lived. It's in the high school where you came from. Because this crime is not what you think it is. It's not what politicians or the world has told you it is. It is not prostitution. This is not just Cambodia or the Dominican Republic or Haiti or the Philippines or the 56 countries that I've worked in fighting this crime. The leading nation in the world commercializing sex with children is the United States of America. And that's a fact. That's a problem because we don't talk about it. Obviously we're talking about it tonight, but it's not what you think. We love sending people as Americans to other countries to go solve problems, and that's good. But we got a real issue in this nation that's not being tackled, and it's a foundational issue that is by default bipartisan and should be, because it's about our children. And so, although I am a conservative Christian capitalist, I do not politicize and will never politicize this issue because I have to be intellectually and morally honest and fight for every child. The Muslim kid, the Christian kid, the agnostic, the atheist, the Hispanic, the African American, the Caucasian, the immigrant, the non-immigrant, the legal immigrant, the illegal immigrant. When it comes to children, there's got to be a line in the sand, and there's not. Because as heavy as I fight this fight, a very bitter pill to swallow in this country is there are people that fight against what I'm for. There are actually organized effort in this country to traffic children, to, sexually abuse children. And it's a very organized effort. And it's happening on your watch. It's happening on our watch. It's happening in plain sight because this crime hides in plain sight. If I take him right now and I sneak in a half a pound of cocaine in his pocket, a little bit of Semtex, which is plastic explosives. I served in the military in South Africa. A little Semtex in his left pocket, a little gunpowder in his right shoe, right? I bring a single canine dog in his room and he traces all of it. And he can separate it. Right? Bring me a dog that can smell human emotion. Bring me a TSA screening apparatus that you can walk through that can say there's metal in your body that can track human emotion. Or can track rape that a woman's been carrying for 35 years. Doesn't exist. So it is the perfect crime to hide in plain sight. You see women wait 32 years to come out and report a single rape, which is too much. All forms of abuse is unacceptable. Verbal, nonverbal, emotional, psychological, physical, sexual, etc., etc. But if a woman can take 32 years before she could actually muster up the courage, and it's not courage, it's breaking the self-doubt and the self-loathing and the self-blame and the to say, I was raped in 1977. What do you think happens to a 12-year-old, which is the average age of U.S. children that's trafficked, that gets sexually abused 10 times a day, per day? What happens to that human being? I love questions when people want to take my life affiliation and they want to slam it into this issue. Jaco, you're a Christian. So for that, I've been there, man. You bring it, but you better be ready. You better be really ready and really know your stuff. Because I tell you, I face it 6 inches in front of my face every day. And I face it in the judicial system. I was on the phone with 2 senators today helping reform laws in 5 different states. I'm testifying in Congress in January. But I was in a meth lab, last week. Training the FBI, TSA, CIA, Mossad, fought trafficking on the West Bank under a religious system that condones sex with minors. Now you got another problem. Because the religion says I can marry off my 10-year-old daughter. To me, that's trafficking. Because I don't care that the religion or the law of your country says it's good. It's a child that does not have the mental capacity, the brain form to make life decisions based on sex. Because for you, maybe you don't understand, but the more mature individuals in the room will tell you, sex is amazing, but it's really complex. It's really tricky. That's why marriage is not easy. I'm married with 3 kids under 5. It's very, very complex. There's not a wife in the world, not one that I've ever met, that'll give her husband sex 15 times a day. It's not natural. So nothing about this crime can be justified. Nothing. And it's not prostitution. You got to rewire how you think. Because by definition, prostitution is 100% free will. Has to be free will. If there's any force, any fraud, or any coercion in that girl's life, it is not prostitution, it's trafficking. Regardless of her age. 55, or the youngest we've rescued, 2. 54 men have been with that 2-year-old. So when you ask me questions, have you been there? Have you been there? In touch distance? You've spoken to a 27-year-old woman when you rescue her and she speaks in the voice of a 12-year-old because emotionally she stopped growing at 12. And the greatest thing in her life at that day was to show me there are walls of purple in her room because she's so happy. Go rehabilitate that. It is almost impossible. The rehabilitation success rate is 2%. Where they can actually enter back in what I would consider normal functional behavior, meaning they can have a consensual relationship with the opposite sex, maybe have children like my sister. She's an anomaly, but she was trafficked for 6 years. See, nothing I talk to you about tonight comes out of a book. I don't have time. You read books. I don't have time. I'm busy. Every single thing I tell you, I've experienced firsthand. Firsthand. We learned sex trafficking because my brother and I woke up one night and our sister was gone and we went to the streets in 1994. And sex trafficking wasn't even a topic. And she was gone for 6 years. Lived it. The hate, the emotional roller coaster. If I find him, what am I going to do to him? And fill in the blank. And then laying all that over my faith, God says, love the unlovable because I'm unlovable. Because I'm a sinner. We've lost our compass in this country. We've taken things that are not big issues and we've made it the biggest issues. And it's not. Healthcare reform is not the biggest issue. Trust me, it's dwarfed when it comes to what I see happens to our children. Which, by the way, is the future of our country. What's the purpose of having a country if you don't protect the youth? You have no country. Taking planet and putting it above people. It's out of order. Think logically for 1 second. I will tell you this. You don't even have to go far. You go to Genesis 1 and God says, take care of the animals and steward the planet well. Take care of it, yes. But we hear about people. You can't abandon people. It'll fall apart. Worse when you write law to abuse people. University of Minnesota, Omar territory, passed a bill. Unless a child self-identifies as a victim, they cannot prosecute sex trafficking in that child's case. Well, let me tell you something. No sex trafficked victim self-identifies as a victim. So why did they write the law? Because there's a second law coming in that state where they want to classify pedophilia as a sexual orientation. But there's also the same state that just brought in a sex ed curriculum called comprehensive sex education, where they're teaching 10-year-old boys how to give consent for oral and anal sex in the public school system. Because there's a plan. It is organized. Jeffrey Epstein is sprinkle dust over here. Don't think you know the crime because you're following Epstein's stuff on Twitter, okay? Is it the upper echelon that's doing it? Yes. Is it the janitor? Yes. And everything in between. Let me rattle off a couple job titles. The following job titles are actual job titles of people we've arrested that paid for sex with children. School principal, police chief, fire chief, sitting acting U.S. senator 5 weeks ago. Congressman, guy next door, tradesman, plumber, janitor. This thing does not discriminate because it's sexual immorality. It's black, it's white, it's Hispanic, it's Native American. This thing is everywhere. You can't pinpoint a sector of society and say, you're doing it. But we've trained the American mind that the pimp's the black guy. The victim's the white girl. And we don't really know who the buyer is. Because we don't want to know who the buyer is. Because the second you get the buyer, you go, oh, wait a minute. That's John. John's on the school board. John employs 500 people in our community. So we're not going to touch John. Our number one problem in this country at the moment is our district attorneys. Corrupt as heck. I've got 4 senators, bipartisan, that I'm working with right now to help them in their states fix the DA problem they have, where the attorney generals in their state can't prosecute because the DAs won't take the cases because of who's buying. You had 40 names sealed 3 Mondays ago in New York City by a judge in a backroom deal, right? Those 40 guys were supposed to go in front of a jury in the Epstein case. 40 names were sealed. You'll never know their names. Why? I've got their names because of who they are. Because 3 of those 40 names will rock Wall Street. Stocks will fall by multiple points because of the companies they run. See, this thing has hair on it. It's so complex. It's much easier to just legalize it. So they think. It's much easier just to say a pedophile is a person too. Tricky statement. Of course a pedophile is a person. Of course God tells me, Jaco, love the sinner, hate the sin. Of course. But I cannot condone child abuse. Definitely can't go write a law that says it's okay. So one of the toughest things we have in this country is one of the most beautiful things we have in the country. We are governed state by state. But now it makes it really difficult. Because I take Susie, she's 14, and the Tennessee law is going to wrap me, so I just drive 4 hours. And now I'm in Kentucky. And it's a different law. And PD to PD, police department to police department, don't share jurisdiction. Don't share information. Very broken system. This thing is a cluster to figure out. Who's got jurisdiction? Well, I'll take the case today. I'm the DA. Where is she? Well, she was in Nashville yesterday. She's in Las Vegas. Dang. Well, there goes another one. Hopefully someone in Vegas picks it up. Well, let Vice take it. Oh, that's right. Nevada doesn't have a Vice unit. Well, when we get to Carolina, Carolina will take it. That's right. There's one FBI agent for all of Carolina that's on a special task force. One guy. Good luck. The pimps know the playbook. It's like Tom Brady looking across the room at a Pee Wee football team. And they skirt around the law, and they know where the law can and cannot play, and it happens in plain sight. Predominantly because the people don't know. You don't know. If you know what to look for, and you've seen it a lot, you have. You've seen sex trafficking a lot. You just didn't know that you saw it. Have you ever done this little trick? Look, I'm a profiler. I'm a trained profiler, international. I profile you as I'm sitting there. I'm reading body language. I'm reading, trust me, I train the FBI, okay? I want you to be able to profile. You know, Jaco, don't profile. You better freaking profile, okay? It's because we don't profile that a kid walks into a Walmart and kills 30 people, but his neighbor saw it all along, or a Boston City bomber's neighbor walked into the room and saw the pipe bomb with the Semtex and called nobody and people died, because you see it, but you don't see it. I need you to see it and then report, because the police can't fix this thing. There's not enough of them. We're 500 police officers short in Dallas. That's one city. You can't. It's not the police. It's you. It's the parent. And golly, it's the dad getting back into the household. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I'm a dad, but you cannot be a dad that's present but not present. Social media age, poured rocket fuel on this thing. Okay? Kids are being trafficked on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Pinterest, on all of them. All of them. I was called to Cupertino. I met with Facebook's chief legal counsel, head lawyer for all of Facebook. And he said, Jaco, please stop. I said, with what? He said, please stop calling out Zuckerberg and Facebook. I said, I will not. I'll call you out publicly. As long as I see girls trafficked through Facebook, I'm going to call you out. Do something about it. In 3 weeks, I'll sit with the head of Homeland Security, and we're going to tackle, with Senator Marshall Blackburn, Facebook. Now, I've now formed a bit of a truce with Facebook, because they promised me they'll do something about it. But you can't go in front of Congress, Zuckerberg, and plead the fifth. I didn't write the algorithm, it's an algorithm. No, a human being wrote the algorithm, sit the guy down and rewrite the algorithm and protect the minors. I understand 18 and over is a different conversation. Okay? But 17 and under, protect them because they can't protect themselves. But they haven't yet. Because it's really profitable. One child brings $200,000 to $250,000 a year tax-free to a pimp. That is $250,000. Now you got a problem, because there's a lot of takers. There's a lot of people that would like to line an extra $200K outside of his job. And the downstream, it's not just the pimp, it's the recruiter and the bottom girls and the college campus girl that all they do is go up to her and say, hey, listen, you're my friend, I'm throwing a party at this fraternity tonight. No girls confirmed. Can you bring like 4 or 5 girls? I'll give you $200. Just go get girls. Trafficking accomplice. Don't know it, but you are. This is how it's done. It's familial. They work through people you know. And unfortunately, a lot of you in the room, I'll do a quick count. Okay, so by number, and numbers don't lie. Where's our accountant? Numbers don't lie.
Right.
Unless you fudge them, don't do that. But numbers don't lie. So by number in this room, the women in this room, there's women in this room that suffered sexual abuse. By the numbers, there's men in this room that suffered sexual abuse. It's close to home. Today, girls self-traffic. There's not even a pimp involved. 30+ states says there has to be a pimp or you can't prosecute. So the buyers figure out, we don't need a pimp, we'll just go direct. Self-traffic online. You send sexting pictures, we pull into a wormhole, and make a porn video, you don't even know, but you're in a porn flick. Because everything is open, by the way. You don't have encryption. You got nothing. You think you have encryption, you've got nothing. You can self-traffic like that. There's not a person in this room, not one. And I'm not turning my back to you, I just don't want to have this light in my eye. There's not a person in this room that does not have a sign on their head that says, make me feel important. Not one. And all I need to do is find out what makes you feel important. And the second I know that, I'm fishing with the right bait. And I will hook you. It is that easy. Now think how much you share on social media. You vomit on social media. I can tell you things about your dad and your mom, your history. I can build a case profile this thick. And these pimps are patient. They are master profilers. They know their target to a T, to the point where some pimps will tell you, I only work with brunettes with a bob haircut. That is 5'7" and down, 100 to 120 pounds. I specialize in them. Or I only work with girls whose dads are in this profession because I found out that they lack attention at home. And there's a propensity for daddy issues. They take time. And they watch you. And they build a case until a soft target arises. Remember, anybody that hurts another person, as we've misappropriated the term bully in this country, because bullies are broken people. Hurt people hurt people. Make sense? So we go, oh, the bullies are the bad guys. True, but they also need help because they're broken. Somebody hurt them. It's a cycle. Okay? But they'll always pick a soft target. They like low risk profile. They don't like high risk profile. Okay? Bundy, Manson, some of the biggest serial killers ever will talk about how they had a victim planned and then the victim showed them strength and they bailed. Next victim. Because the risk profile is too high. But when you walk through life the way you walk today, no offense, unless you're a police officer in the room, you walk what we call in the green zone. You need situational awareness training. You're oblivious. Your radar is way down. Right? So now I just need to go in the room and pick the slowest runner. I'm from Africa, right? So human beings are the slowest because we actually have animals that can eat you in Africa. You guys go dove hunting, we have animals that can eat you. You're the slowest in Africa, you get eaten. Oh, that's the human being, because everything else can outrun you, so watch out. I just pick a soft target. Someone that tells me I need attention. Trafficking is not the same by demographic. Somewhere in Sioux Falls is an underprivileged area. Okay? I don't know what it's called, but it's there. That child, historically, but not only, may be in the African American population or in the Hispanic population, could be Caucasian, but that child is actually really street smart. That child is tough. Probably had physical abuse, has a family member in prison, or has seen friends, family members die and in prison, understand gang violence and related drug. That child has some radar in his or her community. You most likely don't. The girl that lives in suburbia with two parents at home, but not present, right? But at home, she has no street smarts. You don't traffic them the same. The girl in the underprivileged area, you traffic her with something as simple as a trip to the nail salon, a hairdo, something that is a rare occasion in her life. The kid in suburbia, you're not taking that kid with a nail do. You know how you traffic a kid in suburbia? With attention. Because they don't have attention. Because even negative attention in the bad neighborhood is attention. There's ways upon ways how they break this down and say, that's the girl. And they get you to agree that it's attention or it's love or it's affirmation. This thing is layered. It takes so much time to really understand it. But what I want you to know is that it's very real. Forget about other countries for now. Put that aside. The United States of America is the leading nation selling children for profit. Are there places on earth where there are more, excuse me, I'm getting over bronchitis. Are there places on earth where there are more occurrences of sex with minors? Yes. But they don't pay, it's just part of their religion. India, it's part of the class system. When you're in the lower class system in India, you pray that your child gets a job as a housekeeper, a cleaner, in the upper class system, but part of your duty is to just bend over. It's just socially accepted in India. They don't pay, it's just part of your service. I go to India and I go, you're pedophiles. This is sex trafficking. But Americans say, no, that's not enough. We can't just rape children. We gotta go make money with it. Because we can make money with Cheerios. It's a different kind of evil. But that's not it. It is the most violent, unforgiving, greedy drug on the face of the earth. Sexual immorality. In 25 years of fighting this crime, I've seen my own father get rehabilitated from 25 years of alcoholism. I've seen my sister get rehabilitated from 6 years of sex trafficking and be a mother of 2 in a healthy relationship. Praise God, runs our own ministry in Nashville, Tennessee. She's a worship artist. I have seen heroin, cocaine, crack cocaine, meth, gum addiction, anything. I've seen rehabilitation. I've seen rehabilitation from mental disorder. I've never in 25 years seen a single one pedophile rehabilitated. Not one. I'm not saying it's not possible. God can change every heart. I'm just telling you I haven't seen it. It is a very difficult journey to turn back from, because there's one way down a mountain and it's bottom. Let me give you a journey. This is how it works. It always has issues and elements of abuse in that person's past, and it always has porn. Uh-oh. Now it's personal, because there's a lot of porn use in this room right now, tonight. And unfortunately, 152% increase in young females, 2016 to 2019. It is rampant in young women. We'll talk about that in a minute. So this is how it works. Porn feeds demand. Business economics says what? Supply meets demand, not demand supply. Because there's demand, there will be supply. So if you arrest all the pimps in the world, you're going to stop sex trafficking. No, you won't. Another pimp rises up and says, thank you for clearing the street for me. It's just like drugs. You take the kingpin down, there was a 2IC in place that's just waiting to rise. You cannot stop this thing by just arresting the pimps. You have to educate people and not get into it. Self-protect. You have to arrest the pimps, rescue the victims, and you sure as heck have to curb demand. You've got to go after demand. We've not done it in this country. The laws that exist, slap on the wrist. The law says 30 years. The most recent case, guy got 13 months. 100 hours community service. The buyer, the pimp, got 20 years. It's out of order. Make an example in this country that says you pay for sex with a child, you get life. You're gone. Done. All 50 states. And consequences going to come in. All of a sudden. Because it's state by state. It's very difficult. Who has jurisdiction? Where do we catch them? Is the district attorney corrupt or not? Is it a jury state or not? If it's a jury state, does the jury even know what sex trafficking is? Can the district attorney even pick a jury? It's a cluster. So the best way to do this is to educate the people. And by God, not get girls into it. So but now you got to get dads back in the home, and you got to have family unit, and you got to have stability, and you got to get into the school system and not teach a 10-year-old how to give consent to anal sex, but teach a 10-year-old there's a predator out there that wants to abuse you. Right? Starts with a soft porn image. For the druggie, it starts with an opioid. Now here's how it works. I studied medicine, by the way. So I come from a medical background. An opioid has a high for a while. I'm going to get real with you tonight. An orgasm is quick. Quick. It's a quick high, and it's done. A hit with heroin can last you a while, which means your progression phase from drug to drug is far apart. Can be. You can ride opioids for a while before you need to go to something heavier when the high is not doing it for you anymore. And then you're on that drug for a while and you go to something heavier. You don't start smoking crack. Start with a cigarette or a joint. It's a digression, but it's a long digression. Porn goes quick because the high doesn't last. That dopamine effect does not last. Because it doesn't just affect you, it affects everything you touch. You get late for work. You start abusing your relationships. 68% today of porn addicts divorce if they were married. It is a destroyer of all destroyers. It wreaks havoc. Because you move so quickly from a still image to another image, to another image, to a moving image, video. Then it gets into aggressive sex. Then it gets same sex. Then strangulation. The second they get to strangulation, they will reenact what they see with a partner. And they'll test the partner, and they'll look this way. Hey, can we try something? I'm not ready for sex. On campus, maybe some of these girls. Well, if you don't do it, you don't love me. Oh, that's right. Americans have now decided that love is a feeling. So if you disagree with me, you don't love me. No, that's a lie, by the way. Okay? That's nonsense. Ask any married couple. They'll tell you, I don't like my spouse today, but I have to love him. It's a choice. It is a choice. Love is a choice. It's only love when it's unlovable. If it's easy to love, it's not love. Love's not a feeling. It's a choice. Listen to the political nonsense. Both sides. I don't have to agree with you to love you. Actually, love says correct. Because you love. Discipline. Consequence. In love. Okay. So here comes the person who goes, if you love me, you'll do this. Girl feels pressured, she has sex. Go. What the guy has to do next is he has to take sex against someone's will. He'll always go to someone he knows. This is why date rape is so prevalent. He wants you to say yes but no, no but yes. This is why you hear all these rape cases. Well, she said yes. No, but I didn't mean it. I didn't want to. That's their first engagement with taking sex against someone's will. It's not bold rape. Jump someone in the bushes at night. It's the partner. Sometimes the wife. Because trust me, when you're married, your wife, guys, are going to say, I'm not in the mood. It's going to happen. I'm telling you. And if you then go, no, and you convince her that night, you're coercing. You are training how to coerce. And then she gives in and she gives you sex. Okay, that's marriage, so you're under the cover of marriage, so you can, seemingly you can get away with it. But to the guy, that's like a heroin hit. I got it. I know she didn't want to, but she gave it to me. I convinced her. She said yes. But she didn't want to. So they train that way. Until they feel confident enough to say, okay, now I'm ready to pay for it. They'll go and they'll pay for what they think is a prostitute for someone always older. Visibly older than them. Because it's safer. And the second they do that, that first time they pay, it's tickets. That's like that first heroin needle in the arm. It's a one-way shot. Only place they go is pre-puberty. It goes from that age, then comes violent sex, then they start bouncing the prostitutes off the wall, and then it's children. Because the ultimate drug is pre-puberty. That's why the average in the U.S. is 12. Why 12? All the girls, young women, and the mature women in the room. Just quickly, go back to when you were 12. Just a woman. Okay? Your body changed. You were confused. Things are happening that you don't know what to talk about. Can't talk to your dad about it, your mom, you don't want to talk about it. You don't understand it. Maybe your parents gave you a book and said, read this. You're figuring things out. It's confusing, it's messy, you start recognizing boys, you go, they're idiots, I like the older guys. This is the perfect time for the Romeo to come in on social media and say all the right things that you want to hear at that time. Because the dude's 42 posing as a 16-year-old. And he's done it 100 times. He's a pro and you're a sitting duck. And not just at 16, at 22 on college campus. If your radar is low, you're a target. I'm not here to scare you tonight. I'm here to let you know you better be informed. But this is how it happens. You cannot, and if there's someone in the room that met their spouse through a dating site, praise God, you're healthy. You cannot do dating sites. You cannot. If you're on it, get off. Like immediately. You cannot do it. Not today. Maybe 2014, when it started, 2012, you cannot in 2019 be on a dating site. And girls, please, I beg you, you cannot go meet a guy for the first time alone. Cannot do it. Oh, it's at Starbucks on campus. You cannot do it. Because he doesn't have to kidnap you to traffic you. He just has to know what makes you feel important. I had a girl last night at UGA say, help me. Help me. I got to get out of this relationship. I'm being trafficked. I didn't know. But it's my boyfriend. Last night. She never knew. She's sitting in a room like you going, wait a minute, that's me. This is happening to me. For the guys in the room, if porn is in your life, in any fashion, okay? I love you legitimately because it's my choice. I choose, okay? But you got to stop. And you cannot stop on your own power. You better get help. You can do it tonight. You can get help tonight or tomorrow morning. But you cannot. You're playing with a viper. And you don't have the antidote. I'm telling you. That poison is going to destroy every dream you have. Every relationship you've got. You cannot play with it. A bigger reason why you cannot do it is it is time for us to build women in this nation. Literally. If you're a Christian, you'll understand what I'm saying. If you don't, I can explain it to you later. God wakes me up one morning and he asks me, 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, yes, I talk to God. And yes, I hear from God. And he has saved my life on more occasions. I have seen things. I've lived 5 lives. Okay? I've got more reason to give him my everything than you imagine. I was 13 years old as a pedestrian walking across the street and a bus hits me at 42 miles an hour. You die from that. It was 6 a.m. I slept in my own bed that night. Okay? I have story after story after story about how he's intervened in my life. I'm telling you right now. God wakes me up 4 o'clock in the morning and says, what kind of a pillar are you building? God, what are you talking about? He says, your wife is a pillar. And you will lean on her. And you want her to be strong. Because the day you lean on her, you better not have been building a pillar of sand. Because she'll fall and you'll fall. Because you will lean on her. Because one thing you're going to recognize as a guy in this room one day when you're honest with yourself, you're going to marry up. They're smarter than us. They are. They were made to be. I'm not saying more intellectual, they're smarter. Why? Women have the ability, by God's design, to connect every situation in their life to every situation in their life. You get into an argument with your girlfriend, and trust me, she will pull something out from 3 years ago and supernaturally yank it back into this situation. You go, what? Yeah, I remember. Do you remember when? And you'll just go. Men are compartmentalized. A guy can argue with you right here and walk 2 steps and shake your hand and buy you a beer. And you go, you're insane. Your wife is going to tell you, oh, this is going to take me 3 days to get over it. And you go, oh, I'm over it. No. No, 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 no. My emotions, my feelings, my life, my future, all is connected in this conversation. Women cover all the bases. Why? Because they're supposed to. Why? Because by design, God looked at Adam and said, dude, you're not going to make it. I'm going to make you a helpmate that's going to fill all those gaps, that's going to cover all the bases, that's going to have discernment, that's going to have intuition. So how do you break the system? You break women. You objectify women. You make women sex objects. You make women pleasure for men. No nation has done that better than this nation. Thank you, Hollywood. And then, if you're really good at your job, by objectifying women, you get women to take the bait. And they start objectifying themselves. Oh, that's right, we've done that. Thank you, Nicki Minaj. Thank you, Beyonce, 27 weeks pregnant, naked at the Super Bowl, self-objectifying as a sex goddess, telling every 12-year-old girl, this is what you should dream to be. Sell yourself. This is the state of our nation, morally. And you haven't heard me tonight be a bigot or a homophobe. Don't need to. The LGBTQ community's kids, the kids that identify as LGBTQ, are top targets for predators. Why? They're already sexually charged. They're already sexually active mentally. They're already engaged and confused. Soft target. You can't escape this thing, man. So it's up to you to start learning the signs, report smoke, not fire. I pray, but I'm laughing because 10 months ago, a friend of mine came and he invented, this is off topic, but I'll give you an example. He invented a fire repellent and a fire retardant and a fire extinguishing mechanism that is world renowned. Other countries are championing it. He goes to the state of California and to the Department of Forestry under Ryan Zinke, Department of Interior that controls all the parks and rec. And he shows it to them. And California rejects it. And today, their houses are burning down. I'm just saying, if you're stupid, you suffer. I mean, what do you do with that? Cost the state less money, no toxins in the ground, you can eat it, babies can drink it. You spray a Christmas tree with it, you can't light it up with 2,000-degree blowtorch, it won't burn. And he said, let's go to all these communities, let's work with the insurance companies, let's pre-treat all the roofs. Right now, no house will. In other words, the Bush Library is going to burn down tomorrow. You're stupid, you suffer. I'm informing you tonight that you need to know what sex trafficking is. If you don't listen and you don't learn, I can't help you. But I'm begging you to help me on this campus. Guy to guy. If your friend is in porn, you pull him aside one-on-one. Because that's what God says to do if you didn't know it. He says, don't shame him publicly. Don't do it on social media. Don't break his character. He's struggling with something. Take him aside and say, hey, listen, Johnny, dude, I love you. You're my bro. But we can't. We got to build women. We can't. You can't engage in porn. Can't do it, man. Guy to guy. Girl to girl. If she's dating an idiot, you tell her. You tell her. You're dating an idiot. You don't understand. He loves me. No, that's not love. I know you. Why? Do you understand that people don't change? People do not change. For someone to change, it takes a huge event in your life to change. Life-threatening illness, rape, it's going to change you. But people don't just change. Getting saved, baptized, change people, right? Having a massive life-threatening thing happen in a car accident may change you. So when a friend of yours changes personality, extrovert to introvert, introvert to extrovert, a certain dress type to a complete opposite dress type, something happened. Am I saying it's trafficking? No, but it could be. But something happened. You need to ask questions. And not just, oh, it's a political correct 2019, I don't want to offend anybody. No. Get involved and help that person. You're not doing it to offend, you're doing it because you actually love them enough. And I will go as far as saying, if you're not willing to engage, then you need to ask yourself whether you actually even care. Are you actually even a friend? Tell her he's not worth it. Cut it off. I'm going to tell you tonight, if you're in a relationship tonight as a student, and that relationship is in any way, shape, or form not honoring, stop it. Tonight when you leave, so say the text, love you, gotta leave you. Done. Done. Because you can't change people. People change from inside. You can't save the guy, and he's not going to save you. If you're desperate for affirmation and attention, no guy can give it to you. It'll never be enough. You will end up in a bad place where you will be abused. And you will develop the battered wife syndrome. Like Ray Rice last year, NFL player, knocks his girl out on public camera, outside an elevator, in a hotel. Just cold cocks her, knocks her out. It's clear, it's on camera. She takes the witness stand and defends him. And says, it was me, it was my fault. I did it. And she takes her prosecutors, ties their hands behind their back. They can't do anything. So Ray walks. You don't understand. Yes, he hit me then, but earlier that day, I did this, and it's really my fault. Because what she was trained and programmed and broken down to say and demean. You cannot become that person. Because if you're desperate for affirmation, and I know because I once was. I was raised without a dad. Something you don't know about me that's not important, you don't have to remember it, but I just want to tell you why and how it worked. I was a professional athlete for a long time, for 11 years. It was my job. Now, I don't even know how talented I was, but I will tell you this. I was desperate enough to have a dad in my life to make sport a god so a coach could look at me like a son. That attaboy, that great play, that look from a sideline, from a coach, golly, it was everything. I served two gods, God and sport. And it got me in bad places and bad situations because no coach could fill that void. So what you're seeing today politically in our country, you're just seeing a lot of broken people publicly screaming, I need help. I need help. I look at an Antifa rally and I go, broken people that's screaming, I need help. Help me, please. Because do you know what a 3-year-old does that's desperate? They throw a tantrum. Do you know when they throw tantrums? When they want attention. How do I know? I got two of them. I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old today. And I can, every time they throw a tantrum, look at myself and go, I've deprived them from attention. You're looking at adults in our country throwing tantrums, both sides of the aisle, because they're broken inside and they don't know how to fix it. Because their political agenda, their talking point, even if they win the White House, it doesn't fill the hole. Somebody's got to take the blame. And so it's an outward manifestation of an internal hurt. That's what you're seeing today. I'm just telling you. Nobody's talking about that. Because we're not talking about the real issues. So please, if you see a friend change behavior, you ask questions. If you see one of your friends for some reason all of a sudden not having her ID with her, okay, that's trafficking 100%. Not, oh, it's just left my ID in my dorm. You being trafficked. Consistently. She doesn't have identification. Or she can't make financial decisions for herself. Now, it's different than saying, hey, my parents put me on a budget. But I can't buy a burger, I got to check in with somebody. I can't go. Or she used to do extracurriculars with you, and all of a sudden disengages, or he disengages. Something's up. You got to ask questions. You can't meet her boyfriend's friends. Not normal. Just ask yourself, is that normal? It's not normal. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. If you sit in a restaurant and you get a feeling, I think I should leave, leave. Leave. You may not know, but that's God talking to you. Leave. Well, Jaco, they're going to think I stole the meal. Go back later and pay. But what if I'm wrong? You're alive. Go do your homework and look at that last shooting in El Paso. How many people reported? I didn't feel like going to Walmart that day, but I made myself go. Or I was in Walmart and things just, I don't know, things just didn't feel right. Guy walks in, shoots people. We miss signs in plain sight every day. Every time you thought, this is not the right relationship for me, it's not the right relationship for you. Trust me, the day I met my wife and God said, this is your wife, I couldn't convince myself out of it. It was done. You'll know. When it's right, it's right. When it's wrong, it's wrong. Just trust your gut. If you see weird activity on campus, if you see a lot of guys going to one place and it's not normal, if you eat at an establishment, not just nail spas and massage parlors, just look at stuff situationally. What's normal and what's not normal? If you walk into a Starbucks today, what's normal? Lines, people on their laptops, coffee, the smell of coffee, use all 5 of your senses, what's normal? No, when you walk into a Starbucks, when something doesn't look right, you're supposed to know. Standing in an airport 3 days ago, over the speaker comes, TSA says, report all abandoned bags, etc., etc. And I'm watching a guy standing next to a bag that had been laying there for 30 minutes with no owner, and it's not his bag, because I saw the person that put the bag down, and the person walked to go buy food. But this guy's standing next to a bag. He's so oblivious. As they're telling him, don't stand next to the bag, he's parked next to the bag. And it's not his bag, he knows it, and there's no one else close to him, but it's just hanging there. I walked 150 feet away, because that's outside of blast radius. I was like, all right, buddy. Well, Jaco, there wasn't a bomb in there that came. No, my radar is up. I don't live in fear, I got no fear, but I'm awake. I'm awake. I was raised in Africa. Okay, I've got a little bit of an advantage on you. Okay, we've got reason to be awake. Pay attention, particularly in your relationships, particularly to your own emotion. Go back, read your last 100 tweets. Go do it. Your own. Read your own 100 tweets and then ask yourself, if it wasn't you and it was another girl, is that girl happy? Do self-analysis. Is that guy happy? Is that guy angry? Is that guy bitter? Is that guy hurt? Is that guy lonely? What does it say? And then go look at your Instagram and say, if it was not you, I'm going to pick on you. And you say, well, this is my daughter. If we roll your Instagram right now, and I say, you're her mom. Approve or disapprove? You're going to go disapprove, disapprove, oh crap. What could send the wrong signal to a profiler? Oh, 50% of it. Do self-analysis. I'm not trying to shame you. No, if that was my objective, I would say, let's put it on the screen now. No. I want you safe. Girls in the room, if you're currently in a relationship where you are giving the guy sex and you kind of don't want to, stop. He doesn't love you. He does not. He does not. He's about himself, not about you. If he was about you, he'd elevate you. Cut the relationship. That guy needs help. Even if it's not abuse, even if it's consensual. No way. You're worth more than that. You may not see yourself that way because you haven't dealt with your issues. Deal with your issues. That's the other thing. Drop the baggage. You can tonight. If you've experienced abuse in this room, I will stay here. I promise you, they can kick me. I'll stand in the snow if there was snow. I stayed until midnight last night at UGA. I'll stay until my flight leaves tomorrow, if I can help you. We have the resources. We have the experience. We can guide you. If you see tattoos on campus, learn what is a tattoo and what is a brand. Pimps brand their girls. Tattoo is art. If it doesn't look, and even if it's painful, someone loses a loved one and they get a tattoo, it's still artistic. Always. Always. There's art. The second it looks matter of fact, the second it looks rushed, and the second it's type font, it's trafficking. She's branded. He's branded. LSU, I'm at LSU, Louisiana State. LSU next week. A year ago, I go to LSU dean of school. I said, listen, there's trafficking on your campus. No, there's not. And if you tell anybody, I will deny it because it's going to hurt enrollment. I said, okay, cool. He'll call. 6 months later, he calls me, hey, can you come in? Mandatory. Mandatory. He tells me, all freshmen have to go through training. It's like, wow, what happened? Nothing happened. I said, no, something happened. Okay, we had a trafficking case on campus. I said, oh, now it's important. You had to sacrifice one to wake up. So I went on campus, I profiled. I said, hey, have you noticed that there's a little white dot under all the driver's side doors of all your sorority girls? And he goes, no. I said, come let me show you. Girls freaking out. They've got white dots on all their cars. Like 30% of all sorority girls. They go, what's going on? I said, all these girls have been marked. They've all been profiled for the last 6 months. They're tracking their behavior. Oh, 6:15 a.m. she's at Life Fitness. Then she goes, behavioral patterns. Already marked as a potential victim, now it's just, when will I strike? Freak them out on campus. This happens. You're going to vote next year. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm going to tell you this. You cannot vote for people, any person, that does not show you that they value people, that they value life. You cannot. You cannot. Because it's like a guy saying, I only lie to you. I don't lie to other people. No way. If a friend comes to you and talks bad about a friend, they're talking bad about you to other people. They can't turn that off. So if someone shows you that life is not important, then life is not important to them. Don't fall for the category, oh no, this life's important, this life's not important. No. You cannot. Because those are the folks who are trying to pass a bill to make pedophilia a sexual orientation, to lower the minimum age to 10, that have brought in 29 states comprehensive sex ed in now that's teaching 10-year-olds how to give consent. You shouldn't train a 10-year-old how to give consent. You should train a 10-year-old what sex is and how to protect themselves. Not how to say yes. Okay? You cannot elect those people. You know why? You got a great smile. Okay, what's your name?
Audrey,
Audrey. Can I tell you why? I'm going to guess. 23?
20.
Okay, 20. Okay? Let's say 7 years from now, you're a mom. 10 years from now, you're a mom. Okay? You know who's going to pay the ultimate price of what I'm talking about today? You and your children. So you better very quickly ask yourself the real question here. What do you want to deal with as a mom and a dad when you have a 3 and a 4 and a 5-year-old? Do you want a law in your state where a pedophile has rights to abuse? Because you're going to deal with it. My kids are going to be old enough at that point in time to take a bad guy and beat the living snot out of him. Because my 4-year-old, right now, knows and was trained how to collapse a trachea. Today. Last week, she came home for the 4th time. Willis, a boy, hit her in class. I said, Arwen, what did you do? She said, Dad, you told me one more time I can tell the teacher. I said, okay. Teacher called and she goes, Jaco, what's going on? I go, you know what I do? I know, but something weird happened. I said, what happened? She said, listen, your daughter came to me and said, Miss Heather, this is the last time I'm going to tell you to stop Willis. The next time I'm going to collapse his trachea with a throat punch, my 4-year-old. She knows you do not hit first, but she knows no one hits you. You go to the authority, you report it immediately so that he doesn't hit other girls. But Dad, he hits other girls. Do they say anything? No. Then you do it for them. When he hits them, you go tell. But if the teacher won't do something, Dad tells you, you collapse his trachea. Dad, will he die? He's not going to die. He's going to suffer, but he'll be okay. She's 4. So my 2-year-old goes, I want to collapse the trachea. I go, come on, teacher. So every single day of my life when I'm home, I sit on the floor in my living room, and my 2 girls come in and they strike. They strike. Me as an adult. And I can tell you, I've gasped for air. Because this takes 2.5 pounds of pressure. Oh, you're a violent guy. I'm from Africa. Okay? We deal with stuff. I don't tolerate crazy. Okay? I don't drink that Kool-Aid. I love people. I never hurt, but you've got to be able to defend yourself when it comes down to it. Okay? You're worth more. Guys and girls. You should have someone that's whole, that completes you, that challenges you to be better. Anybody that pulls you down, and girl crime, cut that crap. Okay? If a girl comes to you and has anything negative to say to you, it's because she's jealous. End of story. She's seeing something in you that she wished she had. Period. Period. She attacks your hair, she wished she had it. You don't go, oh, you would. I know. Internally, you just go, okay. Now I know she's hurting. Now I know how to love. See things for what they are. Okay? So tattoos. Missing class. Falling asleep in class. This is practical for you on campus. She's falling asleep. Jaco, is she being trafficked? I don't know. Maybe she's going to a nightclub. I don't know. But it's not normal. She shouldn't be falling asleep in class. Then you ask her, hey, why are you sleeping in class? Wrong crowd. Change of friends. Change of peer groups. Not a drinker, become a drinker. Right? And look, I'm not going to tell you not to drink on campus. I happen to be a 43-year-old man that's never tasted alcohol in my life. Not a drop. Ever. Can't tell you what it tastes like. Why? Because when I was 12, I made an agreement in a very, very dangerous, violent situation that alcohol will never do to me what it's done to my dad and all the men in my family. Was the decision I made. Okay? So I've never tasted alcohol. I'm not going to tell you not to drink. But I'm going to tell you this. If you make the decision to be drunk, inebriated, know what you're signing up for today. Know that you lose control. Know that that is a very difficult fight in the court system. Well, she was drunk, she doesn't remember. You're discredited. Immediately. Immediately. So just go get drunk if you want to, but know what you sign up for. Be warned. My recommendation is if you just feel like, listen, I want to get plastered tonight, then have a group of trusted people that will protect you when you are completely in imbecile state and you can't protect yourself. Just know the danger. If trained, you can go wrestle a lion and walk away. Just know the danger. Okay? I'm not the guy who's going to tell you, my preference would be that you wait for marriage and that you don't, because when you have sex, sex is not sex. Sex is spiritual commitment. You give a piece of yourself to somebody that you can't get back. It's called imprinting. It's like taking your hand and sticking it in Play-Doh. And you lift your hand up. It's not memory foam. It leaves a mark. Your first sexual encounter, whether it was seeing porn, hearing sex in a bedroom, or physically engaging in sex, your first sexual encounter left an imprint. Can't get it back. Ever. And I'll go as far as if anybody's bold enough in the room, for the girls particularly, to say that the first time you actually had sex, consensual or not, it was not what you thought it was going to be, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. Because there's this alter idea of what we think it is. So be careful of who you give that piece of yourself to. Because it will affect you long term. Long term. Make healthy choices. Enjoy life, live life. I'm not your grandpa. I'm just saying today, when we grew up, I'm just going to bundle you with me. When we grew up, we had other dangers. I definitely did. I lived in Africa in the most racially, there were some people that tweeted, I heard that tweeted, oh, there's a white supremacist coming tonight. I've already prayed for them and forgiven them because they are so clueless. They're not even on the playing field. This is like saying, I'm going to score a touchdown against you. I'm like, dude, I'm on the field. You're not even in the stadium. I can't even pay attention to you. I don't get mad at that stuff. That's not even a combatant. That's not even an... Here's the truth. I was raised by a mom that's a college professor, a single mom, who by default as a professor is supposed to be liberal, but she was not. She was conservative. I was raised in South Africa, the most racially contentious nation on the face of the earth. In 1994, we're at a precipice of civil war because of race. I'm in the military. I'm laying on my weapon. My mom goes on national television and boards her classroom door and says, no white kid will ever be taught in my classroom again until we can be a school of color, because our school didn't admit black people. My mom gets thrown in jail on national television. My family gets branded as N lovers who fight for the black guys. And I got a kid at Augieland writing that I'm, come on, man. You've got no idea. I've lived life. You were born yesterday. Okay. Think for yourself, please. Maybe people are not what you think. Maybe there's something more. Maybe they're just broken and hurt. Okay? But for you, you cannot create demand for sex trafficking, and you cannot be a victim. Cannot happen. So please talk about it on campus. Tell people it's real. Tell people to be aware. Report smoke, not fire. Watch. Particularly in campus, in relationships. Ask yourself, is the relationship healthy? Is it not? Because that's your number one danger. And then be careful online, okay? Don't overshare. Please don't ask for counseling online. What do I mean? You vomit all of your personal insecurities and your mom and your dad and everything. That's asking for counseling online. You're going to get some counseling, and then you're going to get more than you asked for. Okay? Go get real help if you need help. If you're not going to, those aren't friends anyway. You have a flat tire, they won't even show up. Okay? Those are acquaintances. Right? So sex trafficking is real. There's a reason you don't hear it at any political debate. Have you? No, you haven't. And you won't. You're not going to hear it at the Democratic, and you won't hear it at the presidential debates. You're not. Because they know who's doing it. And they know the people that are doing it are also donors. And then the people that are doing it are voters. And it's about votes up there. I'm not about votes. I'm about people. And keeping people safe. All right, with that, I think we have some structured questions, right? Okay. It's going to force me to sit. You told me, when I ask questions, you have to sit. You said, sorry, I'm coughing up. I haven't had time to stop.
Yeah. First of all, I would like everyone to clap for you. Because I thought
They would have when we were done.
but it's always good to have extra because I think we can tell that this is something, like you said in the beginning, that you have dealt with personally and face.
Yeah, we face it every day.
So, in an attempt to make it easier, perhaps to understand what to look for, or even to clear up for anyone who could be suffering from it and have a question if they qualify as a victim of this. Can you draw any distinction for us between a general case of pedophilia, a case of rape or sexual assault, and then sex trafficking? Is there a distinction? If there is, what would that be?
Yeah, it's very blended. They dovetail, right? So, I told you by definition, if there's force, fraud, or coercion, it's trafficking. So even if it's just, and you've got to differentiate between human trafficking and sex trafficking. Human trafficking is labor trafficking, is debt trafficking, is debt bondage. Sex trafficking includes sexual exploitation. You understand? So is human trafficking bad? Yeah, for sure, of course. But they dovetail. But it's not always that a human trafficking victim is a sex trafficking victim. Right? So you could human traffic somebody from Guatemala and make them work, force them to work for you, right? And not sexually exploit them, that's human trafficking. Okay, so point number one. Rape is atrocious, but rape doesn't mean trafficking. But it may be done by a trafficker, but the victim may just experience rape one time because that trafficker or that pedophile is in process of transgression, of progression, right? Or regression, like I said earlier. So rape could be a one-off occurrence, 100%. Often it is, right? But just like hostage situations have changed in our country, where right now, it used to be this way. Someone enters a building with a gun, SWAT shows up. SWAT creates a perimeter. SWAT takes over. Hostage negotiator negotiates with a hostage taker, and there's a standoff. Those days are over. Today, they train police in what's called direct to threat, which means first person on the scene, eliminate the threat. Now it's the mall cop. First on the scene. Don't wait for SWAT. You go in and you take out the guy shooting. Because today they're not taking hostages, they just shoot. Make sense? Right. So sex is the same. It used to be a situation where it was just rape. Today, those lines are blurred. Very seldom is it just a rape. It's a progression in abuse in a relationship that ends up in rape, date rape, or it is a trafficker, a pedophile that is raping a lone subject in process of trafficking other people. So it's difficult to differentiate. So if it's a girl in the room, or a guy, 90% girls, 10% men, okay? That's just how it is. And you feel like you have been through rape. And you do not, which means unconsensual sex. Okay? Or just sexual violation. Someone groped you or grabbed you. Or sex talk, right? Violated you by what they said to you. And it's not been repeated by that person, and you've not been coerced to do it again, then you're most likely a rape victim. If there's been a pattern, maybe only one time have you been raped, but you've been coerced over a period of time, groomed, right? Then it's trafficking. Okay? You got to carefully delineate between those lines, right? Pedophilia, by definition, is a human being that has a propensity to have or want to have sexual contact or sexual explicit material of a minor, which is 17 and under. And that could literally just be pictures. Because also in progression, right? Doesn't just start with, paying for sex with a child. It's always child porn. It's first adult porn to child porn. Okay? So that you can draw clear lines between these things, but just know the perpetrators are in a progression. So that's why if someone has a propensity to be a pedophile, it's going to be a trafficker. Because he can't stay in that level of dopamine. The drug, he's not going to stay there. It's going to switch gears. Right? Has he physically had sex with a child? Maybe not, but he's had engagement with child porn or coerced girls online to send naked pictures of themselves. And by the way, you cannot afford to sext. You cannot. Because you don't own it. Do you understand it? I'm fighting the Fed right now. For you, you're welcome. For everybody. The most mature in the room to the youngest in the room. You do not have any copyright of your content online. Do you understand that? You don't own it. It is out there. So if I have a video where you're with your friends in Cancun and you're jumping off a rock into the ocean and you're in a bikini and you're kicking your legs, and I timestamp the video when your legs are open explicitly, and I punch in on the camera into your private area, and I rip that image and I put it in a porn video, you have no right to get it removed. Zero. In all 50 states. So I can traffic you without you even being trafficked. You wake up one morning, you see something, and you're in a porn flick. You know how often that happens? You've got no right to get it removed, and you've got no right for restitution, financial restitution. Marsha Blackburn is sponsoring that bill right now. Senator Blackburn. Conservative Senator Blackburn is sponsoring that bill right now, and we're going to get it passed. And you will have limited copyright of your online content so that if anybody uses an image of you in any way that defames your character or does anything explicit, not only can you go to Facebook or whoever and by court order get it removed, but those who put it there, you can claim assets. You can take his yacht, his boat, his house, and you can get financial restitution in court. But today, you don't have it. So you cannot sext. Because, just hear me, Google sells it all. They sell all of it. It's out there. And they don't even have to sell it. We just go on your profile and we just rip it. I say we, I mean the perpetrators. That's the reality. So you willingly sending naked pictures of yourself over text message? Can't do it. Can't do it.
You have made it clear that faith is a big part that drives you in this. But with an increasing number of people, when surveyed, who are saying that they're atheist, agnostic, or spiritual, what role do you think that the church with a big C has to play in causing that mass desertion, and what role can they play in bringing people back into a faith?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? The right way to do church is the way Jesus did it, which means go to the people. The church is supposed to be a hospital. The church is supposed to be a hospital, not a place for people that are healthy and healed and perfect, because nobody's perfect. And we've, in this country, unfortunately, and in the world, created this denominational separation because we want to control people, we want to control congregants, we want to own the pulpit, and we've forgotten that we need to love unbroken people. So does the church have a role to play? Yes, but so does society. So does just mankind. What can the church do better today in that issue? Because the fastest growing religion is atheism in this country. But places that really are in trouble, like the Middle East and the DRC, fastest growing religion is Christianity. People want something tangible, they want community, not nothing. But what can the church do in trafficking? Wake up. Wake up. Have your pastor preached on trafficking on a Sunday? Go ask him this Sunday, why not? Why not? Because the kids in his youth group are being sexually exploited. Okay, so the church can wake up by engaging the tough subjects from a place of love, not judgment. We're not the judge, not condemnation. No, love. But we can engage, and we haven't. Because it's difficult conversations. But then again, politicians haven't engaged. You know? So the church has a huge role to play to show an example of love, without question. But remember, love's not a feeling. Love doesn't mean I'm going to condone sin. Love doesn't mean do whatever you want and I'm going to say it's right. Love means correct in love. So yes, the church has a huge role to play. And then to the world, I'll say, hey, remember, the church is broken people. They're not perfect. There's not one. There was one and he'll come again. But there is not today one person that's perfect. So it's just people trying to figure out life, family, challenge. Right? Yeah.
And for our campus and for many campuses, the current focus on attempts to reduce sexual violence tend to focus on phrases like toxic masculinity, and they tend to shame or belittle a classical idea of femininity. And is there is that part of this disruption, and is there a better way?
Yes, 100% is part of it by design. Because remember, if the plan is to be able to abuse children, then you have to emasculate men. And this is why. This is the cycle. You degrade women. You tell women they're sex objects. You emasculate men. Now here's what happens. You get dads to leave the house disengaged. Now you have moms raising young boys. I was raised by, and my mom is a superhero, but she's not a dad. Can't be. So I had a huge point. So now you've got broken women who are taught that they're sex objects, who are taught that today in our country, oh, you want to be a career woman? You want to go be a doctor? Well, you can't have a family and be a career woman. Oh, you can't be a mother and a career woman. Now you got to sacrifice family for career. Nonsense. Complete nonsense. Well, you can't be married and be a career woman. Nonsense. That's done by design. That's done to break family. 100%. That's not by chance. Do you know that women 27 to 35 today are the highest suicide propensity rate in the United States? You know why? Because when you turn 34, 35, you can't change this with your political beliefs. I'm sorry. Your body starts saying there's a clock. Your body starts saying, I'm producing hormones to procreate, and you're not, and it's not happening. And they get morbidly depressed. Because they wake up one morning at 35 and they don't have a loved one, they're not married, and no children, and it hits them. I have a great career, I'm on Wall Street, but I'm going to die alone. Or I've always wanted to be a mom, I forgot. So you got to really think when you make these decisions. Because the lie is that you have to, you don't. You can be a mom and a superstar career woman and a wife. You can have it all as a woman. Why? I told you earlier. You are capable. You can multitask. You can handle more than you can imagine you can handle. You are a vortex. For crying out loud, you can create, you carry life inside you. Us dudes, we can't do that. No surgery can do that for you, sorry. I'm just telling you. I can make you look all kinds of ways, but I cannot give you a working uterus. You will never push a baby out. Ever, dude. Ever. Only women have that incredible gift and privilege. And raise your hand in the room if you did not come out of a woman's uterus. Interesting. I would have thought hands would have gone up the way we hate uterus today. Uh-oh. Let's be grateful for a minute. Okay? Think about your mom the next time you want to make statements like that. Think about your mom. If your mom was a bad mom, then think about your grandma or your friend's mom. For a minute. Slow your roll. Cool your jets. You came out of a woman's womb. You came out of a uterus. Be grateful. It's sacred. It's precious. It's valuable. That's why it's under attack. If I play, and I played professional football, played in the NFL, if I was going to play Tom Brady this weekend, okay? If I was going to play Brady this week, or the Patriots this weekend, the Ravens are playing the Patriots Sunday night. You know what their number one focus is? Brady. Brady. Get Brady. Why? It is their strength. If you really understand military tactics, you don't attack weakness. If you and I fight, and I attack your weakness, but your strength still overpowers my strength, I will lose. But when I take your strength, that's Sun Tzu, Art of War. So you want to break women? You go after the one thing that sets you apart. Your ability to carry a child. I attack your strength. And we're falling for it. Under the guise of freedom. You're special. You are special. Do you know that during sex, when a woman ovulates, which is how babies are made, by the way, okay? I'll make you uncomfortable. Do you know that a woman releases one egg? I make women's studies in medicine my specialty with orthopedics. I know the woman's body probably better than most women. You would release one egg as a woman. One. Do you know the guy releases 100 million sperm? Which do you think is more sacred? The one egg. Uh-oh. Honor it, respect it. It's special. I can tell you how many eggs you will release in your lifetime, and it's not a lot. Just go count your ovulation cycles, and some months you miss. You may, once or twice in your life, release 2 eggs. And of the 100 million, 1 sperm is going to be the little champion that swam upstream Because 5 guys made it to the egg and 3 died and 1 little sucker gets in there. It is magical. It is beyond comprehension. What has to happen? So we attack the woman where she's most valuable today. And we tell her, that's not what you're here for. You're here for my pleasure. Come on.
Then one more question from me, and then we'll turn it over to the audience. In the past, there's been an increased awareness, more so I would say around children, at least to the cases I'm aware of, from parents, and then in some cases this has led them to false accusations. Is that something that we should be concerned about, or is that a red herring to keep us docile in the face of danger for children?
I want to qualify your question. Are you saying that there's cases where people have been, parents are being falsely accused for abusing the children?
Just in general hysteria. I don't know if it was always parents or teachers or both, but there was a...
Yeah, look, I think it's hyperinflated. It's hyperinflated, right? But you always have to use reason, and you always have to prove and verify. We are, after all, a judicial system that says innocent until proven guilty, which I've been questioning that the last 2 years. I mean, it's almost like guilty and prove to me that you're innocent, but it's dwarfed. That is hyperinflated. What I will tell you that will shock you today, that is very real, is CPS trafficking our children. I'm on 13 cases right now. So Child Protective Services took children from parents and gave them to pedophiles, knowingly. I will tell you that our foster care system is a cluster. Our foster care system is out of control. I will tell you that if you were a pedophile, what job would you take? If you're a vet, what job do you take? A job close to animals, right? Or would you go live in the middle of the Sahara Desert where there's no animals? So if you're a pedophile, what job would you take? You're going to work in a factory where you only see adults 12 hours a day? No, you're going to go work in kindergarten. You're going to put yourself through teacher's college. You're going to teach Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. You're going to work in Boys and Girls Club of America. You're going to start a nonprofit. You're going to be close to children because it is your choice drug. That's logic. Do you know that in 2017 and 18, the average foster child in the United States moved 10 times in 1 year? Now you get Johnny. Johnny, you were raped. Yes, they raped me. Who? I can't remember. Which family? One of the last 5 I lived with this year. That guy. It's like a train station. Go look at the screening to become a foster parent. See how easy it is. It's actually very easy. Who's talking about that? Have you heard any politician talk about the broken foster care system? About children being sold for sex in the foster care system? Have you heard about the over 400 active cases today of CPS trafficking children? Why not? They don't want you to know. Because it might wake you up. So yeah. Oh, by the way, the #1 form of trafficking in the United States is parents trafficking their own children. 5 weeks ago, we rescued a Calabasas, California girl. She's 13 years old. She was trafficked while living at home, going to school every day, played soccer. Missed soccer. Soccer coach didn't know what to look for. Had bruises. Soccer coach didn't ask questions. You know, got off the travel team. Only played for the school team. There's all signs. All signs. But Dad was selling her to her school's principal. This was the fire chief that we arrested, and just anybody. And the dad convinced her that this is how she was going to pay for college. And when she turned 13, she started to protest. And then the dad looked at her simply and said, "Okay, I'll stop doing it with you, but then I'm going to do it to your sister." because she's going to pay. And then the victim turned defender like that. She said, no, do it to me, not my sister. And she would not tell a soul because she was defending her sister. Rescued her by God's grace. We film a film, 8 days, feature film. If you know how to make a feature film, it is a miracle that a film gets made. It's 200 people from all different walks of life, every faith, religion, background, sexual orientation, it doesn't matter. We're all coming together as an art community, and some crazy guy like me shares a vision that you can't see and you can't touch. Not like I can show you a building, we're going to build a building. It's like a dream. We're going to make a movie, right? And we all come together and we're going to shoot a film. It's a cluster. We're shooting the hospital scene. You should shoot film out of sequence. This is a Monday. First scene, shooting this scene. In the hospital, Amber is rescued. You should watch the movie 8 days. Amber is rescued. Day 2 and 3, we shoot the rescue scene. The motel calls me Monday night at 7 o'clock and says, you can't shoot here anymore. Throws my whole film schedule into a frenzy. Says, it's not good PR. I don't want to be known as the motel where you make this movie. I call Homeland Security. I said, guys, do you have any motel in Dallas that owes you a favor? Yes, we do. Can I shoot there? Yes, you can. I show up now. Understand, I'm on one side of the city, 3 months ahead of time, planned to shoot on this location. I had to go make doors because we'll blow them open. I had to go cut the frame out of these hotel drywall. And overnight, I got to change to a different motel. It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. So we're cutting, we're machining, we're building doors in this motel called the Texan Inn, room 117. Outside door, typically. Room 117. We're there for 24 hours. 2 a.m. the next morning, I got ICE, and we'll talk about ICE in a minute. I got ICE and special response team and HRT, hostage rescue team, real people in the movie, not actors. They're lining up on the door. We're going to blow through this door. We got one shot. Actors are inside. Camera is inside. I'm outside. There's 200 crew. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. There's about 300 spectators because it draws a crowd. So it's a circus show. It's 104 degrees. These operatives have been in an 80-pound gear, full gear, for like 10 hours. They're lining up on the door. The door hammer, the guy that knocks the door open like you see in the movies, he's about to knock the door open. All I needed to do is yell action. I'm waiting, seeing is everything right, and I hear a bullet chamber. There's no live ammo in a film set. I make sure of it. I hear a bullet chamber, and I hear another. These 6 operatives walk away from my door. They slap magazines and they semi-automatic weapons. They walk from room, and I was in the military, I know this drill. They walk from room 117, which is where we're filming a movie about a rescue situation in trafficking. Okay? Remember, we're not supposed to be at this motel. We're supposed to be 20 miles on the other side of Dallas. They go from room 117 past 115. They line up on room 113. I'm thinking, I'm going to get sued. I didn't build that door. They're going to, what the heck? Before I can say a word, they blow the door open. Blows the crap out of it. They pull a girl out of that room. Because when they were standing at my door, filming a movie scene, still on duty, they got a call from head office that says, go now. We found, and her name was Jenny. They looked for her for 16 months. She's at the Texan Inn, room 113. They radioed and said, we're here. They said, no, you didn't hear us. Room 113. They go, no, we're here. They walked over. They pulled her out in front of 300 people in a live film set. They pulled the pimps out and the John, stripped them down, read their tax, did the arrest, took 2 hours, came back and said, let's film. And my film set was in chaos. Because the movie we were making, right, that I've lived, but the actors haven't, became real. And you tell me, what or who made us move from Hotel A to Hotel B? You better believe there's a God that cared enough about that girl, to move a whole circus show from one side of town to that side of town. And the decision I made 3 months before, when I just felt like I shouldn't have actors do the rescue scene because it won't be authentic. I want authenticity. I don't want to lie to people. I had to write the Attorney General of the United States a letter to get permission to get actual operatives on camera with their decals. Had it been actors, she was still trafficked today. You want to ask me, do I think God's real? Ask the girl that they pulled out of there when she heard this story. I was there. She thanked God because she was like, I was gone. I was going to die. They told me they were going to kill me. So, this is the stuff that I've seen. I'm just telling you. But then again, the book I follow, because I'm not a hypocrite, says I will leave 99 to go for one. I saw it. That's all I could tell you my story. Any other questions? Please, fire, anything. Yes, ma'am.
You have a question. So I don't know if you're familiar with Melinda Gates, but she wrote a book called Moment of Lift, and it talks about lifting up women in this situation. So how do you suggest that? Because I think for any reasonable like discussion to be had, it has to be like talked about in both genders. So how do we elevate women who have been sexually trafficked to speak out and do what you're doing and say what you're saying, not as a way as if like it would be better than like a man fulfilling that role, but that would be equal. Like, how do you bring a woman in to also be as loud and forceful as you're being?
Yeah. It's so needed. Okay, so over 90% of the nonprofits that fight trafficking were founded by women, and over 80% of them were survivors, former victims. The problem we're finding is that those women never received the proper healing themselves. And I applaud those. You understand, what I think of women, you don't even want to know. Women, when you ask me, can a woman ... I don't even care what you put. Change a tire, conquer the world, be president. You know, the answer is yes, because that's what I saw in my mother. If you ask me, can a man, I go, no, man. It depends. The guy left us, right? So, what my experience, and we just filmed a new documentary that does just this. It's going to be the #1 research piece ever because it's unfiltered, raw, double blind, right? And we take women who are survivors. We ask them these questions. And what I have found is that there's a threshold. The women start a nonprofit and they fight the fight, but they fight it hyper-local, very localized and very manageable. It's very hard for that woman that's a survivor to do this, to go in front of strangers, right? My sister does. If you follow in Ilanka's book, Keeping Secrets, and my wife is, I'll brag on my wife. 3 nights ago, she won Screenplay Writer of the Year. She's one of the best film writers in our country, maybe in the world. She's brilliant. I told you I married way up, right? My sister is healthy enough, and Ilanka goes. She's got a thing called Hope Holders, where she goes and, you know, but there's not enough. And the only thing I can attribute it to is they didn't get the proper healing. There's still so much healing that they need to go through before they can completely naked, not physically naked, but emotionally naked, come in front of a crowd. You know, and it's so powerful when it happens. But we don't have the proper care for women in this country who are abuse victims. And men, by the way. Okay? Men just don't talk about it at all. At all. Because that's a huge taboo. I mean, you know, already emasculated. I'm not going to tell you that I was raped, you know. So that's another problem, right? But that's why you're not seeing more women take a bold, large public platform. Because if it's in their city, they can control the environment and they understand the dynamics. But walking onto a college campus that could be a very contentious, I mean, Antifa could be here tonight, you know? That's very dangerous because they get re-traumatized. That's why. You know, man, we're starting a new healing center in a state. It's undisclosed, it's off the map, and it's called Operation Catapult. And it is literally to take victims to become community leaders, not just a survivor. So much of our treatment in this country for sex victims has been just get them to survive and get back and function. I don't want women to just function after they've been through this. I've got a beautiful model in my sister of, no, you can go be a mom of 2 and be a champion and be completely healed. That's what I want. We're only now getting to a place where we're understanding that the care needs to be multifaceted long-term care. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Great question. Great question. Anything more? Yes, sir.
You mentioned having a rate on like situational awareness. Do you have recommendations or like ways to improve or to sort of train so that you know what to do,
Yes.
what you should set off your radar?
Other than us just doing a training session with you, you go to our website. There's literally very simple but strong indicators for you to tomorrow be smarter, and then read the book. I'm gonna give you a link in a minute. Read the book that was written by a former Delta Force operator, a friend of mine, and he was Secret Service for President Bush and President Obama, and he wrote a book called Safe. And the whole book is about situational awareness. And he talks about real life issues, like, hey, I'm going on vacation with my family. I'm in Starbucks. I'm in the movie theater, you know? Phenomenal. And your eyes go open and you go, dang, I've seen that. And so I'd love to share that resource with you. So when we're done, let me make sure that you don't get the wrong safe book, that you get the right safe book. And our website, right? And please, follow, I hate to say follow, join me. Follow me on social media. My commitment to you is the following. You're not going to see pictures of the hamburger I ate, or my vacation, or the car that I bought. I use social media to fight for life. I'm going to inform you. I'm launching a brand new podcast tomorrow. This is what you'll get, this kind of stuff in that podcast. The TV show goes out, I think, next week. I use that as tools to inform. And we've got a whole series in the podcast. I think 2 weeks from now, we'll do a 3-week series on situational awareness. 30 minutes at a time. And I'll bring in some of my buddies that are very well trained. Yeah.
How can we inform, like, specifically older members of our community, like family members that don't believe in things like toxic masculinity, that are so brainwashed to believe that there's no such thing?
It's tricky because
they're so set in their ways.
it's tricky because let me give you an example. Is there racism in this country? Yes. Is everybody a racist? No. Is there toxic masculinity? Yes. Is every male a toxic masculine guy? No. But what we're doing today in this country is we're talking in absolutes without absolute truth. The only absolute we should be talking about is absolute truth, because truth is not fluid. Okay? So it's very dangerous when we see a white guy and go, white supremacist. Based on what? Based on what fact? Based on, you don't even know the guy, just because he's white. Now you got young white guys in college campuses apologizing for being white. It's like you had a choice. Do you have a choice? Did someone knock on the door of your mom's room and say, hey, black or white, Hispanic, what are you doing?
Not that I know.
Okay, come on, man. It's a ridiculous freaking argument, right? So just be careful. Get a very, very clear example. Okay? My advice to you. With verified proof of a model, right? And say, that, not he or she, but that behavior, that is a definition of toxic masculinity. Not Johnny because I say so. Because I want you to be credit worthy. I want you to be somebody that has credit. Because once you do that and say, this is a definition, right? Well, then there's a model. So I'll ask the question over and over. It's also frustrating when I ask people, okay, so you're gender fluid. How many genders are there? You never get an answer. Why? Have you asked yourself why? Because, and I don't care what the answer is, by the way. 100, 1,000. But the reason you don't get an answer is because it sets precedent. You say, I have a model. Which means if you tell me 100 this week, you can't say 200 next week. Does that make sense? Because truth is not fluid, people. It is not. This is blue. If I tell you tonight this is red, you will literally tell me, dude, you lost your mind. Well, it depends to you. If it's red, then it's red. No, it's not. Well, we're going to make a law that says from now on it's red. That doesn't make it red. So if you want to educate some older people, possibly people in your life, right, that just says there's no such thing as toxic masculinity, then I will tell you there's toxic femininity. Uh-oh. Because I've not found a single, not one feminist group, left, right side of the aisle or independent, I've not found one feminist group that have joined us in the fight against child sex trafficking. And 90% of the victims are women. That's toxic femininity. Because that's not about people, it's about themselves. You see, you just got to be careful in society. All the things we talk about today does exist. It does. Within reason. Within measure. Under proof and verification. But you cannot just go out and tell a guy, oh, so you're a fascist, Jaco, because you're a Christian. You're uneducated. You don't know the definition. Nothing about me is fascist. I was born to defend all races my whole life. Yes, I'm a Caucasian guy. Doesn't mean nothing. Oh, you're a Christian. Yeah, I hope people accuse me of being a real Christian. That's my life goal. Because you understand that Christianity is the only faith and religion that didn't name itself. Do you know that? Did you know that? Buddhists wrote a mantra and said, we're Buddhist. Kabbalists wrote a mantra, we're Kabbalist. Hinduism, the Muslim religion, Muhammad. Do you know where Christianity comes from? A guy who never called himself a Christian. He just walked and he said, I do what I see my father do and I say what I hear my father say. A guy walked, 12 guys walked with him and they were accused of saying, hey, you, Peter, you're like that Jesus Christ guy. You're like Christ. You're Christ-like. You're a Christian. It was an accusation. I want to be accused of being a real Christian, which means I love those that disagree with me. I love those that I don't see eye to eye with. I love those that hate me. I want to be accused of that. But see, you would have had to meet me tonight and see my heart tonight to know that. The girl that wrote that ridiculous tweet about me this afternoon doesn't know me from Adam. But to her, I'm a white fascist, probably white supremacist, neo-Nazi, who knows what. Come on, man. Careful. Time out. So go and have a clear model of what it really is. Because it exists. It exists. You're right. But know what it is. Name it. Really, this is what it is. So there's a model. So now when someone does those things, well, now you've got reason. Now you can say, look, it lines up. If it walks like, talks like a duck, well, it's a duck, right? But I can't call it a duck, and I don't even know what a duck is. Careful. We've lost our way in politics in America today because we're hurt and we're angry. And all these conversations, I'm not emotional tonight. I'm passionate, but I'm not emotional. Look at all these conversations, they are emotionally charged. You cannot, by the way, FYI, win an argument. Nobody wins an argument. You can have a great debate and a discussion where I will tell you right now, we need to get back to a place in this country where we can agree to disagree. And agree that certain things are above the Republican Party, the Democrat Party. Certain things are bigger than us that we have to unite on. Or we don't have humanity. So please educate yourself, and you may be educated, I'm not saying you're not, but have a very clear picture of what male fascism or whatever it is you want it really is, and then have an intellectual conversation. When you see real behavior line up, and be honest with yourself, if it doesn't line up and you thought the guy was, then you also got to be honest and go, I was wrong. Because I want you to be credit-worthy. I don't want people to look at you and go, oh, she's just full of hot air. No, I want you to be credible. Right? And if we find somebody that has those behaviors, we find somebody that literally is a racist, damn, that guy's got, or girl's going to be called to the carpet. For sure. Are there bad cops? Yes. Like there's bad teachers, and bad parents, and bad pastors, and bad clerks, and bad CEOs. Right? We can't have one cop, or 100 cops, or 1,000 cops. Right? Make all police in America bad people. That's ridiculous. Have an example of what is a bad police officer, and if someone lines up with that, well, then he's a bad police officer. But they're good people, because I promise you tonight, if you need EMS, and I pray that you never do, and a guy shows up in a uniform and really helps you, you're going to be thankful. You're going to ask that emergency worker to give you life support. You're going to. You're not going to lay there in blood and go, don't help me, because you're in uniform. Send me a non-profit worker. It's ridiculous. So abolish ICE. What? Do you know how often they've helped me? Save children. Has any one of you been in a car, in a flak jacket with ICE? Anyone? Then you have limited information. Has any one of you fished, like fishing, a child out of a river that drowned at the Texas border? Is that every child? No. But be careful. Be careful. You cannot look at a society and just go, all black people are evil. All black people are good. All white people are evil. All white people are good. All white males are scumbags. No way. No way. I know too many good ones. So, have that conversation. But when you leave the conversation, I want people to go, dang it, she's hard to argue with because she's calm, cool, and collected. And she has facts. And she has truth. Not fluid. Right? Go with that. And they will respect you. You will win people over that way. Because those that disagree with you under that state, well, they're delusional. They're in denial, right? But just accusing them of being in denial when you yourself you don't have the facts, and you don't have a real model, a truth that you can point to, well then they can accuse you for being delusional. And now it's just finger pointing, left, right, left, right. Questions?
I have a question related to what you think is the best process for identifying and then helping children in our school systems, or depending on where you're interacting with children. In my experience, it's just been that the child advocate, whether it's a teacher or a parent's friend or anything like that, you just get handcuffed by these rules of who can talk to the child and what was enough proof and who did you tell, and even if you tell them, it doesn't really get done. And just when how do you fight for a child in a system that's broken and against both the helper and the child? What do you do?
I'm going to answer your question. I just want to make a comment to you. Earlier tonight, you said, I'm really proud of my school. You remember that? Remember that? And you gave me a beautiful overview of the school. You're right. I'm proud of the school. These questions are incredible questions. I mean, this is an amazing school. Really. Probably because it's a small school. We have to take our school system back. We've lost it. Here's the law. The law says when a teacher sees something, they have to report it. That's what the law says. It doesn't say who they need to report to, the law. But they've been trained to call CPS first. That's a mistake. That is a critical error. Because CPS cannot interrogate